Thank you all for joining our Amplify webinar. I'm Talar, CMO of Phonexa, and I'm thrilled to be here with you today with Awin's Partner Acquisition and Development Manager, Jeannine Crooks. So some of you might not know what Awin is, but they're a global affiliate marketing platform empowering advertisers and publishers of all sizes to grow their businesses online. Jeannine is also a board member at the PMA, which is an incredible organization that's helped shepherding performance marketing forward and really at the forefront of supporting organizations in performance marketing. So with over 20 years of experience in affiliate marketing, Jeannine is considered one of the senior figures in the industry. I know I've already learned so much from you, Jeannine, in just our interactions prepping for this time together. And she's really worked in every facet of affiliate marketing, spending time as an affiliate, a merchant, a vendor, and now with an affiliate network at Awin. So super excited. Today we're talking about how to build expertise in a new niche. What does it take to understand the landscape of a new area that you're going to be doing affiliate marketing in? How do you find offers that are compelling while understanding kind of the status quo of this new space? And then how do you build a new engaged audience coming out of that, right? And be able to monetize while having an engaged, sticky audience that's paying attention. So we're going to kind of cover those core areas as some of you. Some of our audiences expressed to us they want to expand and really be able to enter new core areas of focus. And there's no better person to have on to talk about this than Jeannine. So if you wanted to share a little bit about yourself and kind of your background, that would be awesome. And then I've got a ton of questions for you.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm Jeannine. Nice to meet everybody. I've been in the industry since 1999, so like forever. I mean, almost from the very start, almost. And the very first affiliate program I worked on was one that I created when I was marketing manager of a small company, and I didn't even know it was called affiliate marketing. It just sounded like a good idea, and so then kind of grew from there. So I've been in the industry for a long time, seen a lot of changes, a lot of growth, a lot of new strategies, a lot of new technologies. So it's been really exciting to watch it. And I just love affiliate marketing because I feel like it's a way that people can basically create their own jobs if they want to, just be able to do that. So wherever you live, you can be a successful affiliate. It just takes a bit of work, a little bit of patience, bit of work. It's not going to happen. It's not just going to be handed to you. But if you're willing to do the work, you can be successful. And I love that opportunity that exists. So that's me.
Awesome. I'd agree with you there, and getting to know so many of our clients and how they've built their businesses has been an incredible experience for me too, and an inspiring journey most of them have had through kind of creating their legacy really for their families and for their lives. Yeah, I want to jump into the questions because we're kind of going to cover how do you understand the landscape first, right? So how, a lot of our clients or our audience focus in a specific area. For an example, they're in insurance and they want to move into home services, or they're moving into different niches and really trying to say, well, how do I understand this landscape? What criteria should I consider when I'm evaluating this particular market for revenue potential, and validating that this is a lucrative opportunity, but also one that makes sense for me, right? So what has been your experience, Jeannine, with understanding the landscape, both as it relates to the is this right for me part, but also the facets that go into really analyzing a market from an affiliate marketing perspective?
Sure. Well, I mean, there's different steps to take, and you don't have to take them, one after the other, but just kind of these are all different things to consider is what I like to put. So first off, I'll take a look at what the traffic is in that particular niche. Just, how many people are out there searching for what kind of keywords, how great is the long tail list of keywords. So, for example, if you were going into something like insurance, everybody wants homeowners insurance, car insurance, that sort of thing. But, if you can go deeper into that and say, car insurance for drivers with good credit or something like that, and just kind of see what kind of searches are going on in there? Are people actively looking for it? I mean, that's one of the things you've got to keep in mind. I recently had somebody who did a website on something that nobody was really interested in, and so she's a little frustrated. She didn't do her homework in advance to try and find the best way to approach that market, because people really are interested in it, but she didn't do her homework. I always take a look and see what the competition looks like. For some of those areas, if you're going to get into, it can be quite competitive. There's a lot of big sites in a lot of the lead gen things, for example, sometimes in some of the sales or the individual categories as well. But see what they're doing and see what you can do differently. What can you bring that somebody else isn't doing right now? How can you approach a topic or a problem or something like that and bring in, hopefully your expertise on it, because I think that really matters, that what your product is that you're working with or your topic. And then I also want to take a look at what kind of merchants are available within that area. Are there people that you would buy from, or that you would feel good about recommending? I'm not going to recommend somebody as a merchant unless I really believe that they've got good products, that they've got good services. Because I know, for example, when I read, somebody's post, or when I'm writing one myself, are you passionate about it? Are you passionate and be able to convey in your language and in your tone that this is a product that you really believe in? People are going to pick up on that, and they're going to respond to that. So, that's a big key to being successful. It's not just, I will type 100 words. It's got to be something that comes from the heart as well.
Yeah.
So that's what.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because it's like for as a marketer, one of the first things that I try to do to assess market demand in any category or even any particular feature, right? When someone has a problem, having been more involved in SaaS marketing in my past, is like, I'm going to go to SEMrush, or I'm going to go to these top tools, and I'm going to really assess the demand, and I'm going to assess the competitiveness. And so you can really do that with free tools, and it's not such a leap to be able to kind of really assess that in a way that is methodical, but can also give you a gut check right up front and say, this is the demand, this is the competitiveness, it's all scored, right? So you can kind of get that gut check that you need ahead of jumping into something new.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant thing to do, to be able to do it that way. So you mentioned some excellent tools for doing that, and kind of taking a look at it. The very first sites that I launched way back in the 90s, yes, I'm that old, were sites that had to do, we launched one that was on candles and one that was on fireplace accessories. And it was just kind of something that we were trying to brainstorm on, my husband and I, to have different topics that we could approach. And when we started investigating those, we found out that there were areas that had been ignored, even though those were areas that had been around forever and ever and ever, those particular topics. And, it paid off. So just because there's a lot of competition that's in there, if you can find that area, that approach that they're not doing the same way, or nobody else is doing, then you found your way to get into that area. And yes, those still exist. Everything has not been done. So you may have to think about it a little bit, but stuff like that does exist. So
yeah,
I think that's important to do.
I had a marketing mentor that would tell me, if you're doing a competitive analysis, don't do it to look back, do it to look forward. And they would say, if you're looking at the competitors, you're looking at things they've already done. But what you need to ask yourself is, what have they already done? Cool, but like, what do I need to do considering what they've done, right? Not necessarily to catch up, right? Because you're never going to catch up to something somebody did a year ago or 2 years ago. But it's like, what is my path to achieving this? Not replicating what's already been done.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. It's so true, and I've been amazed at the niches and the little sub niches that are in there that you can go and find. They still exist. So, if you've got some favorite topic that seems like it's really competitive, just spend a little time thinking about it. You don't have to make the decision within the first 20 minutes, and really think and analyze and make lists or whatever it is that you use as part of your process. But, if you work on it hard enough and long enough, you're going to find opportunities in just about everything. So I think that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm curious. So Finding opportunities and learning to me are also connected, right? In this landscape analysis process, you're also learning a lot about the product, right? And educating yourself sometimes around something that you don't really have expertise in. And what I found is so many affiliates and publishers become these expert learners, like they're incredible learners because they can just pick up something new and be able to extract that information, understand it, and then be able to deliver content. But I'm curious, what are the crucial steps for affiliates entering a new market to establish kind of that education piece, but then also to establish their presence and find the right offers off of that? So I think this question is kind of big, but it's how do they get educated, and what's your go-to on making sure that the content is right and that you learn properly? And then the second piece is, how do you get started with the offer finding process?
Okay, so I'm a big proponent of really, really, really getting to know your topic. I don't go chasing money. I am not a fan of people who are like, I'm going to go sell these expensive watches because, there's a high commission on it, when they've never owned anything, more expensive than like a Fossil watch or something like that. You really need to have, to me, inherent knowledge of the product, or else be an incredible writer, which is about, what, 2% of the population, if even. So I say take enough time to really, really know that product, to where you can go and have a conversation with a salesman at a store and you're telling them stuff about it. Then you're ready to, really kind of start pursuing a niche. So because anything less than that, and you're just writing a book report. And especially if you're trying to go after something that's like a bigger ticket item, people that have that kind of money to buy that kind of item are going to be able to see right through your content. I know people are like, oh, AI is going to help me. It's going to tell me everything. Not really. I'm sorry. I'm not a huge proponent of AI on it, because I feel like a lot of times the content is shallow. There's a lot of words, but they don't necessarily tell you anything. So, and until you can go in there and make sure that everything that AI is telling you is correct, and, be able to supplement it with your own knowledge, don't count on that as what's going to be your source to write different articles on it. So, because I really think that it's, you don't want to do book reports. There's enough book reports that are out there. And probably if you take a look at your competitors, those folks that are trying to use that methodology are writing book reports. So, knowing it even better is going to be a way for you to be able to, to really kind of get in there. And while you're getting that education, that's going to help you to identify which merchants you want to work with, because you're going to learn who's selling the good stuff and who's just selling stuff. And there's a difference. Because, part of what's going to make you successful as an affiliate is to have a relationship with your readers. You want them to become engaged with your content. You want them to know that they can trust you, that you're going to give them good recommendations on things. And if they've got a problem, they can come to you and you're going to tell them the best way to solve it, this product or this service or whatever. So it's important for you to really, know and understand kind of what the challenges are, and what the right products are or services for whatever the challenge is, or where to go research to find that stuff out. Because, part of what you're going to do when you're trying to grow your product is to see what are the latest questions on it, and be able to understand what the question is and then understand what the answer is. So, those are how I do it. And so I'll evaluate a merchant by that. Is the merchant merely selling stuff, or are they selling items, products that are going to fit a need and solve a problem?
Yeah. And what would you say then about like payouts and paying attention to that? It's like, get behind a service you love, right? Make sure that that is the thing that you're focused on, or product that you love.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. And I don't necessarily get all involved in what the payouts are, because part of it is, if you're really good and you've got engagement, you're going to convert well. If it's something that never seems to convert, then I'm a little hesitant on it. But if you would shop from their site and you feel like it's a good shopping experience to do that, your readers will probably do that as well. So, I will take a look at it, but I'm not going to go and pick the merchant that pays the biggest commission just because they pay the biggest commission. Do they have good products? Conversely, if it's somebody who's paying the lowest commission, do they have good products that are going to sell? If they're paying the lowest commission, it's because they're the most affordable of the products. Sometimes that's the case. And so, I mean, you can kind of make up the difference in volume if
Yeah.
there's, a lot of stuff going on. So, and I think that that's also an important thing to offer to your readers. Not everybody's going to be able to afford, several $100s or $1,000 or something
Right.
to get the solution to
It's
their
who's their
problem.
audience. Yeah.
Right. And so, kind of give them the stuff that's the high end, give them something that maybe might be much more affordable,
Mhm.
maybe instead of, telling them where they can go buy something that's already created, or you can buy the plans and build it yourself, that
Yeah.
sort of thing, depending on what it is. But, I think if you've got kind of that range of offerings for your readers, you're going to find out kind of what hits their sweet spot. And then that's a place where you want to pay attention to the metrics. Which of your articles are getting the most clicks? Which ones are getting the best conversion rate? What are people willing to spend? What kind of price point seems to be near and dear to their heart that they can handle to do what it is? So, that's when you keep watching what's going on with your site after you've launched.
Yeah, it's so interesting you say that in terms of range on the pricing based on your audience. And partly because, I follow an influencer that had a mismatch in November when it was Black Friday sales. And what I found was that everything that was, that was an affiliate link on her content had really high priced items where her audience isn't always, they're like aspiring entrepreneurs and they might not have the funds to actually purchase that $2,000 thing for themselves for the holidays, right? Or even with the Black Friday sale being a part of this offer, right? And so I think that's important to note, because I also think your audience can spot the mismatches. They can easily say like, this isn't for me, right? And then as a result, like your conversion rates are going to drop and you're going to see repercussions on everything else you're promoting because there was a mismatch on like how you're actually like on the strategy, on the offers you've provided. So I totally agree with you there. And I think I'm banking that quotable in my mind for just good advice to keep top of mind. I am curious though. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeannine.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, put your audience first. Seriously, I mean, in probably any niche there's always those high ticket items, which you could make a lot of money if you sell a few of those. But is that really putting your audience first?
Yes.
And if it's not, don't do it. Don't do
Yeah.
it because, you may have just spent years building the trust of that audience,
Yeah.
and you could use it all kind of as what, the person that you were just referring to might have lost so much trust and credibility on Black Friday just because it seemed like they were chasing the money rather than trying to help you guys. And that's not worth it. You can destroy the credibility of your website in a heartbeat by doing something like that. So keep that in mind always. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but
Oh, that is such great
about
advice. I think that's really important advice because it's always like a blend of factors and what you choose to promote. And I think it's important for people to hear kind of the approach that you've taken also, in the time that you've been doing this across every side, I'm curious, we're talking about an engaged audience. And I think as you're going into a new core market or a new market of you're starting from zero, right? You don't have this engaged audience yet. And so I have a few questions in this area because it's mainly like, how do you get started, right? You did all this research, you kind of built your web properties, you found the offers you want to promote, right? And you've kind of set this foundational understanding, but how do you get started really from building that audience? And what is your approach to starting kind of from the bottom where you don't have traffic? You might not have a lot of data in this area. So what do you do?
Well, you do keyword research to get started, to try and see what kind of problems people are facing, and then write content that solves those problems or answers the questions that they've got. And so, really kind of make sure that what you're doing is good and valuable, not just content because, oh, I need to do a post because it's Tuesday. It's content that's valuable on there. Usually what I suggest is don't try chasing the big keywords when you first start getting started. There's going to be a lot of competition for those. Anybody else who's already established in that niche is going to already have a leg up on you for those big keywords. So I start with the little ones, just as a blog post topic or, something like that. And then you'll start ranking on the bigger keywords. So I have a little passion project site that my husband and I are working on, and it's about sports. And we had not touched the site in 6 years, and it was really lean. There weren't a lot of pages that were on it from 6 years ago, but I was amazed to discover that I actually ranked #1 for one Google keyword. And it was because I had information that you couldn't find someplace else. And so we were still getting hits on it. 6 years later, we still had people coming every single week and finding that particular page and spending a bit of time on it. So it's a building process. And so now we have gone through and we have updated the site and added a lot more pages. And I just was looking at the analytics yesterday on it. And not only are we ranking on that keyword, but we're ranking on probably 15 to 20 variations of that keyword. So we started off with something that was little, and because we were successful with that, Google was like, maybe they'll be good for that keyword, or maybe they'll be good for that search, and is sending more stuff to us. They're showing us up in the results more. So, it's kind of neat to watch that happen. But that's always been the philosophy that I've embraced. So don't try and go take on the biggest keywords when you first get in there. So my site is about sports. I'm not trying to take on football. I'm trying to take on, football games of 1922 that mattered, that kind of thing. But I can own that. I can own that pretty fast. And so once I do, then maybe I'll go to 1923 and stuff like that, but just as a joke. But, you can start with some of the smaller stuff. Google recognizes that, and they're going to take a look at what's happening on your site. They're going to take a look at your metrics. How many visitors are you getting? Are they going to more than one page on your site? How much time are they spending on your site? Because to Google, if they're spending time on your site, then that's because they're engaged. That's because they are finding value on reading your content. And so Google's like, if they like that keyword, maybe they'll like this keyword. And you start ranking on more and more keywords and showing up more often in the SERPs. So, those are the kinds of things that I do. Something else that I use as a strategy is I will join different forums or Facebook groups or whatever about a given topic. And I'll participate, but I'm not trying to sell anything. All I'm trying to do is offer, opinions or suggestions, or try and be very, very helpful, but try and create a presence in there. And usually I'll do it from the persona of the website that I've got. Right. So we'll see that instead of, Jeannine Crooks, they'll see the name of our site instead. And people get curious. They're like, what is that? I'm going to go check that out, because they seem to know a lot. So that's one way where you can kind of, organically get some attention. You can try doing things like doing guest posts, but I wouldn't start just cold calling somebody or cold emailing them, and saying, hey, I love this sport. Let me write a post for you. No. I will tell you that from my role at Awin, where I see a lot of those requests come in for people who want to be on our blog, no, you're not going to ever get on our blog just because you said, I have great content, I promise. No, you're not going to. So anybody that I would consider ever including like on our personal site is going to be somebody who's got the credentials, somebody who I know, who I've seen, who can write. And then if they, contact me, I might think about it, so establish your credibility first before you try and do something on, as a blog post or whatever.
Yeah.
One other thing that I'm going to say is super important is your About Us page.
Yes.
You'd be amazed at how many people go to the About Us page all the time, and they want to see what your credentials are. Why should they trust you about this topic? So that's a place where you can really kind of make your sales pitch on why you are amazing and on why the recommendations that you're giving are to be trusted. So don't make it just fast and, whatever. And don't make it too salesy. Honestly, I've seen some where it's just like, oh, seriously, it's just, I want to know you as a person when I read your About Us page. And that's going to tell me more about it. Now, is that perfect for every topic? No, but if you're doing kind of a niche site, or a passion project like we're working on right now, we're telling people why we wanted to do this, why we picked this topic, why we love it, why we think it's important, and we think we can share with other people by reading, the content that's on our site. So those kinds of things.
No, that's such a good point too. And I think I can relate in the sense that, you know, I'm really into fantasy books. And one of the things that like I did over the last few months, feeling inspired by everybody around me, was, you know, purchased a domain, but the fantasy book referral and affiliate space is relatively large. Like books, you know, the book affiliate space is competitive. There's a lot of content out there on book recommendations, a lot of forums, right? But really it was thinking through like, oh, I actually just love these like specific groups of writers that are gaining popularity. And when you look at Google Trends and really follow their trajectory, that is, it's almost like low in competition, but high in growing demand, right? Which means that there's a specific audience that wants more of this, right? But and that's the sweet spot, I think, when you do see trajectory in something that you are passionate about, while at the same time, there isn't that much out there to help people, you know, converse about this thing, talk about this thing, learn about it, find, you know, various avenues to engage more deeply with the thing that they're passionate about. And so that was kind of part of the process. And I think then you kind of have these SEO tactics and forums really supporting the organic growth, and right, you're picking back off the trajectory at the same time. And so I think the passion is important, and I think that you can organically start seeing results without immediately having to kind of invest in paid media or immediately trying to do performance-based you know, improvements or performance-based tactics that kind of give you volume up front. I think that's a great tactic to explore, but I also think there's a lot you can do that'll organically help your content start to show up for people.
Oh, and I couldn't agree with you more, because I've seen some people who are like, I'm just going to go buy some Google ads and I'm going to drive a lot of traffic to my site. You got to know what you're doing, because it's really easy to go through a ton of money in a microsecond on Google AdSense, you know, and not get anything for it. So, you know, I mean, that can be pretty devastating to somebody. One of the nice things about building a website online is it doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You know, you don't have to have this huge investment. You put in your time, you know, and things like that. But that's kind of one of the things that most people do have access to, is to be able to, you know, after the kids go to bed, I'm going to spend an hour writing, or before they get up in the morning, or whatever it is like that. You know, you can find pieces of time each day. And I've even told people, you know what, if you've just got 15 minutes a day, you can build a website. It's going to be a little slower than if you could put in an hour a day, but it's not impossible to do it that way. And that's, you know, that's one of the beauties that I think exists in affiliate marketing, and, you know, being able to perform online. You know, and what you were just saying before, you brought up another really, really important point, is that you don't have to have a huge audience to be successful. You just need to have an engaged audience. And you've identified an area where the people are very, very engaged. And maybe it's not, you know, you're not going to be selling 50 million books like, you know, some of the top guys. Maybe you're only selling a handful of those books, but your audience is going to buy every single one of those books, or they're going to buy every single one of, you know, the accompanying clothing items, or you know, whatever it is. I mean, I'm not that familiar with it, so I can't say specifically, but, you know, I'll tell you too, from a monetization standpoint, Etsy. Etsy merchants on Awin, full disclosure, they're one of our merchants, but whenever I go to Etsy and put in a keyword, there's always stuff that they've got for it, you know, and I'm pretty sure that there is in your category. I know that there is in my category, you know, and so it's kind of fun like that. So it's kind of, as you're looking for merchants, kind of open your eyes past just kind of the basic ones and see who have ancillary products that might also fit.
Yeah, it's not always, you know, in the barbecue grill case, which is like an example I had last week. It's like there is, you know, the barbecue, and then there's all the accessories that go with it. There's all the books and the videos and the courses on how you do barbecue well. So there's all the digital assets that are also available at your discretion. And I think really thinking about the full scope of interest in that topic creates a real difference. But totally agreed with you there. I am curious though on monetization, since we started talking about this piece, like We talked about kind of how to generate a little bit of that traffic and revenue to start, right? We talked about what some of those tactics are that have worked for you and your partners and clients. I'm curious, like, what have you seen in scale mode, right? You get started with these initial tactics. Like, what are partners or companies prioritizing when they're like at a point where they have an engaged audience and they're starting to sort of see these positive signals, and they're like, okay, now we need to add more tactics and grow. Like, what happens at that stage, and what have you seen work really well?
Well, there's a couple different directions that you can go there. So you can either go wide in your topics or you can go deep. And, so one of the things that I've seen, like, I always use something like noodles as an example, so if I had a site about pasta or whatever cooking, if you wanted to go wide, you can talk about all different kinds of noodles. You can talk about spaghetti, you can talk about angel hair, you can talk about elbow, you can talk about lasagna, there's all these different types of noodles, or you can go deep. And so going deep might be something to talk about wheat noodles versus egg noodles versus vegetable noodles versus lentil noodles. So you can always kind of find those areas to go into deeper or wider on any given topic. So for example, your site, maybe instead of only being about one author, you're about 3 authors, who kind of have, more different products on there. Or if it's just, one author that is your absolute favorite and you want to focus on them, more and more about kind of what that author has done, other kind of fascinating things that you can dig into about it. What's their history? What got them started in writing about it? So that just different things that are going to help engage your people.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, maybe you do have this favorite author who grew up in England, say Liverpool. I was just on a conference call with somebody from Liverpool, so I'll use that as an example. Maybe somebody who's a true fan wants to go there. Maybe
Yeah.
they want to travel. And so you've got, here's places where to stay when you're in that area, and make sure you visit this, take this tour. And so all of a sudden you've got booking.com as a merchant, you've got Viator as a merchant, those sorts of things. So you can decide which way you want to go on it, based kind of partially on your passion, also partially on what the audience is searching for. You're going to always want to keep an eye on what it is that they're looking for and what questions or interests you can address through your content. So those are some of the ways to do it. We've already talked about making sure that you kind of have a wide variety of price ranges that are on there. The other thing too that I always say is any noun, especially a proper noun, can be an affiliate link. So, start going through your content and you're discovering that, I really kind of did a recommendation for this product or a discussion about the pros and cons, this versus that. You're able to turn those into an affiliate link. And don't necessarily assume that your audience is only going to want to buy A because A was your favorite. Maybe there's some things about product B that they're going to like better. So offer them both. Put in an affiliate link for that. And don't think of it as selling, really, when you're doing that. You're helping. Because if you've just told them that this product is wonderful, and then you've got an affiliate link for them to buy it, it's so much easier than just saying, hey, here's the whole internet, good luck in finding it.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a little bit of an embarrassing story to share on that.
Oh yeah, do it.
I'm game. So my husband and I were going to Prague, and we were super excited about it. We wanted to be right near Old Prague. And so we read this blog post that just made this hotel sound wonderful and its location was great and everything, but she didn't have a link in the post. So I went online, booked. When we got there, wrong hotel. We were staying right next door to where we wanted to be. And we were still in a great hotel, but we weren't in the hotel that she had told us was so fabulous. So we didn't get to see what we wanted, and she didn't make $60 in commission because she didn't put in a link. It would have helped me so much if she'd done that.
Right.
So think of putting in those links as really helping your audience find the right thing, because they're not under any obligation to click that link. They're not under any obligation to try and buy through that link. You're merely helping them find the right product. So,
and that's so interesting, because it's sort of, in many cases, seeing yourself as democratizing like access, right? Like when you think of your role as the affiliate, like democratizing that access and being able to say like, I'm giving you choice, and I'm giving you the ability to sort through a lot of things that you might not know very much about, but that I'm an expert on, right? And so I can help tell you, if you want X, Y, and Z, this is an option. If you want, these other things, this is also an option. And I think being able to sort of help people see through the weeds is that role that you're playing, and can also help you scale, considering you've now provided more options, right? And that's going to create more monetization opportunities.
It absolutely does. I mean, you're helping people, and people respond to that. And in a good way. I mean, it's the right thing to do. It's a good thing to do, and good things come as a result of it. So
Yeah.
you're right on target there. Just as kind of a strategy, so when I said, any noun can be an affiliate link, I find that text links outperform banner ads.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean don't put on banner ads, but if you can put in a text link, you're more likely to have somebody click on it than an ad. I mean, people see ads all the time. Interestingly enough, if you've got a banner ad on the same page as a text link for that product, the text link will perform even better. So it's like people look over that and then they're like, oh yeah, let's get this, So.
I wonder if that's like more of it's like almost like psychological for the user, in the sense that a banner ad feels very much very promotional, whereas a text link is actually feels native to the content. So you have a higher likelihood of earning trust, right? It's a trust factor, as opposed to like, this is sponsored and I can see that it is because I've seen ads my whole life. Yeah.
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 Yeah. But
Awesome.
it's funny because that's been tested a lot, and it consistently performs that way. So
Okay. Very cool.
keep in mind.
Yeah, good feedback. I have my final question for you that's really just on key performance indicators and measuring success. As you're going through this process, I'm assuming that kind of not the KPIs will change, but you'll kind of look at different things potentially at different stages, or carry through on a single KPI through your entire journey through scaling as well. And I'm curious to get your perspective on that. Like, what key performance indicators are crucial for affiliates as they're starting in a new niche, and what have you found is the best like tracking methodology for all of this stuff, right? Everything from tracking your affiliate link to kind of the stack that you're using to track these KPIs.
Well, so when you're first getting started, your number one goal is just plain to get, eyeballs on your site. Mm-hmm. So, to kind of watch where you start on that, and when you start getting some folks to organically come to your site, that's when it's exciting, when you start ranking on some keywords. And then what I'll do is I'll study to try and see if there's a specific trend going on in that. So, there's a lot of excellent different tracking services that are out there. A lot of people use Google Analytics. I don't just use Google Analytics. I've got a couple of other things that I use that can give me better insights into kind of some of the keywords. Google Analytics was designed to sell Google AdSense. So keep that in mind. That's their number one priority. And some folks will confuse Google Analytics with, kind of their affiliate tracking, because Google doesn't use the same metrics to decide whether or not a sale has occurred. So, often at my network, we'll have people call and Google said that we had 4 sales and you're only showing 3. Well, because you only really had 3, Google made up the 4th, because Google thought that it met the criteria for a sale, and it didn't. So I always try and have something else that's monitoring on it, monitoring to see what's happening. So, that's what I do. I start off trying to see, do I have eyeballs on my site? And then once I do have that, I try and pay attention to what topics people are reading and kind of focus on those topics and try and build on those to see that, I can get even more people to come. And I try and take a look at how many pages they'll go to. So I try and do a lot of cross-linking within the site. Do you have just one page on that article, or can you get them to go to, this page as well, and this page as well, and this page as well? It's something that the search engines pay attention to. They want to see if people are continuing to find information on your site. And time on site, I always watch that metric to try and see, because that's telling the search engines that people are finding valuable content and it's worth their time to stay there and read. So, that's something I pay attention to big time, because I know that the search engines are paying attention to it. So though it's those kinds of things that I'm looking at. Then you can start setting goals for yourself in terms of monetization, once
Yeah.
you've kind of got started. So, maybe your first goal is to get a sale,
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
sale, yay,
Yeah.
but then, you can start setting kind of those financial goals along the way, but see which products resonate with your audience,
Yeah.
and try and do that. And you can kind of go in multiple directions at the same time. So you can give them more of what it is that they seem to love, but also don't be afraid to introduce new program or new products to them that might be something that they don't know that they love yet,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
to help them understand the what's and the whys of why that is just the best thing you could ever possibly do as well.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of KPIs that I take a look at, so from a tracking standpoint, how engaged is your audience? Because remember, you don't have to have a big audience, you just have to have an engaged audience. I
Yeah.
think I mentioned to you, we had somebody who had a site that was only about beefsteak tomatoes,
Yeah.
only beefsteak tomatoes, not Roma tomatoes, not cherry tomatoes, only beefsteak tomatoes. And her audience was not huge, to put it mildly, but anything she recommended, they bought. And
That's
she was,
amazing. Wow.
yeah, I mean,
That's
that's what
deep,
it was about.
right? These baked tomatoes are deep, not wide.
Very deep, very deep. But boy, could you go on her site and learn everything about fertilizer to make your beefsteak tomatoes happier.
Yep.
You know,
Wow.
we're ordering it like crazy. So, that's what matters more. She was generating a lot of sales,
Yeah. That's
you know?
amazing. And it's sort of like almost like treating KPIs in stages. Like, as I've kind of explored this new project for me, the steps are small, right? It's like let's just make sure we're getting, like, the first step is let's just make sure I'm creating quality content at a quantity that I'm happy with based off of, the opportunities I have, right? And then the next step is like a few weeks later, as these get indexed, like, am I showing up at all, right? In search engine traffic, right? Like, that's my next goal. And it's phasing out those goals into little chunks to say,
Yes.
like, okay, my milestones are associated with like the phase that I'm in, not necessarily, expecting this trajectory up front that's going to create value. Sometimes you need to just look at the next step as your goal as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it's not going to happen overnight. I'm going to tell you that, I think there's an estimate that Google only scans something like 8 to 12% of any given websites on a given day. So,
Yeah.
it could be 10 to 12 days before they come and scan your site. And even, and if you're a brand new site, it may be longer than that before you get, work your way up to the top of the queue where, oh, okay, we're going to take a look at a few new sites today.
Yeah.
So it can take a while. And you just need to be patient and just keep building on it, keep putting on more content. And I would say, there's always the quality versus quantity kind of
Yes. Yes.
there. I go for quality over quantity because then it's going to help me with those other metrics. People are going to want to spend more time reading that whole article that they really love. Then, they're not going to go to 5 different articles that are useless just because you've got 5 on your site. So I'm definitely all about quality, and I would rather put up 1 or 2 really good posts a week than put up something every single day that, that the reader could have gotten anywhere. You got
Yeah.
to do and do it well.
Yeah. 100%. Jeannine, I appreciate this time so much, and you have been amazing in just really outlining some actionable steps and thoughts for our audience. I just want to thank you for your time and for the thoughtfulness and helping us work through this topic. And it's been really enlightening to me. But you all can go ahead and follow Jeannine on LinkedIn and make sure you connect with her if you have any other questions. And please go ahead and follow Awin and the PMA when you're at it. And feel free to also connect with me directly on LinkedIn, and make sure to connect with Phonexa if you have any other follow-up questions. But thank you all so much for joining us and for this time. We'll hope to see you on the next one.